for 2020. He was the Chief Operating Officer, India and South Asia for Kioni Destination Management. And we are very glad to introduce Mr. Grish Bindra as our advisor. He has 35 years of experience in travel, tourism, and hospitality industry. Mr. Grish Bindra is the Vice President Operations, the Surya, New Delhi currently. He's a very passionate hotelier and an affable personality. As much as his name is famous across the industry, so is amongst the foreign guests which he is catering to, who continue to keep coming to the hotel which he is leading, regardless of the preference for the brands. We welcome Mr. Bindra. The flow of today's episode will be the episode discussion, post the introductions, the presentation by episode partner, followed by business networking. Before we start and get into the real episode, the discussion points, we would request to just spare a minute and like us on the Facebook page. Just to take you through, since March 28th, we've been having consistent topics of discussion on our panel with very esteemed panel speakers, and we've already done about 15 episodes so far, and today we are very proud to announce a 16th episode on topics which are of interest for everybody. And if you have missed any of our episodes, you can always look at the recording links. The takeaway from episode 16. The topic is innovative leadership to upscale opportunities and the role of technology. The takeaways would be leadership approach towards new normal, customer expectations in post-COVID era, new age employee engagement, role of technology in managing profitability. Just to introduce our episode partner for the day, AIW Media. They have a network about 6,000 plus residential societies, apartments, and condominiums, which are catering to 13 urban markets, reaching 3.3 billion residents. Today, it's a need of the hour to get vocal for local. When the entire supply chain and travel is stuck with categories like travel and tourism being impacted majorly, vocal for local is a new mantra. So Deepak Srivastava will be presenting about his company, AIW Media, later in the day today. We are very proud to announce our prestigious panel for the day today, Mr. Shanta D. Silva, Mr. Rohit Khosla, and Mr. Alak Verma. Just to introduce you about Shanta, Shanta is the Chief Executive Officer Plus One Private Limited, Sydney. He's an executive coach supporting leaders to consider different perspectives. His past leadership roles have been as head of resorts, Thailand and Indonesia, wherein he led a portfolio of about 100 operating hotels and resorts in Southeast Asia. And he successfully led the region grow, leading a team of about 7,000 plus employees. He was also the regional standard implementation leader, Asia, Middle East, and Africa for IHG, wherein he led the regions on implementation strategy for standardization of brand standards across all stakeholders. Shanta is well known as a great coach, a motivator who always inspires you to be better. And just to let you know that there has been a very brief introduction and interaction with him. He's a very down-to-earth person as well. Mr. Rohit Khosla, he's been a passionate hotelier, an admired industry veteran, and a revered leader. He's an executive vice president operations IHCL. Mr. Rohit Khosla leads and oversees operations for the North, East, and West regions of South Asia's largest hospitality chain, the Indian Hotels Company Limited, which is a Tata enterprise. Over the course of the last 2 decades, Rohit has led several leadership positions within the organization in India, Yemen, Maldives, and Sri Lanka, and he's shown unwavering support and dedication to nurturing his team and the brand. With strong relationships and execution skills in his current role, he looks after an expansive and diverse portfolio of over 60 plus hotels across the region. We welcome you, sir. I also take the honor of welcoming Mr. Alak Verma. He is the CEO of a company called Centric based in USA. He has 20 plus years of experience engaged in building and growing AI, artificial intelligence powered business as a professional. He worked at Microsoft, Oracle in the Middle East, Australia, and the US. He's also an author and a faculty at UC Berkeley and UCSC in America. Alak is currently leading Centric and is looking to provide innovative and AI-based solutions for the hotel business that will shape the future of the hospitality industry. We welcome you, Alak. And now I take a special honor of welcoming Mr. Grish Pindra. He's currently the VP Operations, the Surya, New Delhi, and he's our moderator for the day. He would be taking all the discussion points with the esteemed panel and reaching out to a lot of takeaways for the entire participants who have joined us for today's episode. Over to you, sir.
You need to unmute yourself.
Mr. Pindra.
You're not audible. You need to unmute yourself, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Arandeep. I don't know whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, because I know apart from the panel that we have a lot of people watching in from all over the globe. But since the Happy Hoteliers Club calls it morning any time of the day, let's start with that. Let me just name the three people who are behind the club. One is Ashish Gupta, who looks after, he's been an operations person in hoteliering. Dheeraj Agarwal, who's an IT expert. Well, technology is the need of the hour today. And of course, Tarandeep, who looks after brand and also runs her own marketing outfit. Now let's get on to the panel. You know, I don't think there's been any webinar that's actually had with 4 people on it with over 120 years of work experience. And here you have it right here. You have the 4 of us who actually have over 120 years of work expo. So I think today is the time when we need to go ahead and discuss what COVID has actually done to all of us. So let me start by introducing the panel to you. Shanta, who's right now sitting in Sydney, used to be in Delhi heading Southwest Asia for IHG Hotels. He was my boss for over 3 years. It was a pleasure working with him. Obviously, he'd never worked in India before, the first time he came here. And then for the first 6 months, he was a little lost. And then one day he came out with this word called Jugaad. And he said, yes, the minute you do Jugaad, you can manage things in India. And there you are. And I tell you, ever since we got into that Jugaad mode in IHG, we didn't look back. Those 3 years were absolutely fantastic. And I don't think they will ever see those years back again. And I think Shanta was a super boss and led the team as a true leader. Rohit, who is executive vice president for the Taj these days, is a very old friend and a very passionate hotelier. And I requested him also to be on the panel so that he can impart some of his knowledge and experience that he has brought to the table. Alak is the youngest amongst us, who's sitting right now in the US. That's why I said morning, afternoon. And of course, for technology, he is the person. He runs a very efficient company called Centric, which has just come into India, and we are exploring opportunities to help hotels develop in artificial intelligence. That's for the 3 panelists that we have here. Getting on to the main topics, The prevailing COVID-19 situation has evolved us a lot. Most important learning has been that we have to adapt to change at all times. And now that it's become new normal and cannot be resisted, keeping this in mind, we will discuss today innovation leadership to upscale opportunities in hospitality with technology as a support. So we cover leadership, we cover management, we cover technology, how we're going to combine all these together. And I think that's the need of the hour, which everyone is going to be looking forward to. I'll start with my first question to Shanta. Now, what are the changes seen that have totally alerted the course of the service industry overall? According to you, Shanta, how should the senior leadership react moving forward?
Thanks for the nice introduction, Grish. Reminds me of the good old days. And you never stopped putting me on the spot, right? Which is good. So good morning to everyone. Really glad to be connected with all of you. Like Grish said, I had some of my best years of my career in India. We had an amazing team and we did amazing things. And I see a lot of those team members on this call. So special hi to all of you. Good to connect with all of you. It's always a pleasure to be connected with India. Grish, like you said, we are in unprecedented times and we are facing things that we've never faced before. And the worst thing is we don't know where it's going and we don't know where it's going. So I'm sure all of us are fatigued with all the messaging we get about all the doom and gloom, and I don't want to dwell on that. And especially since this is the Happy Hoteliers Club, I thought I'll focus on 2 or 3 things that can be positives that we can leverage in the circumstances we are in today. I'm sure a lot of things have changed, and I'm sure you have heard different viewpoints of what we can do as leaders, what we can do in the industry. So I'd like to touch on 3 things that you may have heard of, may not, but 3 things I think are important for us in this situation. And it's 3 T's. It's touch, it's trust, and it's technology. I think these are 3 things that will define our industry going forward because of the situation we are in. Firstly, I'll talk about touch. We all know that the industry we are in is a very high touch industry, but we have to transform from a very high touch industry to a low touch industry today. We have to go from promoting touch to actually literally avoiding touch in how we tailor our services, how we tailor our products. And we have been forced to reimagine touch as we know it in our industry and think of new ways of doing things. So what does this mean to us as leaders? I think what it means to us as leaders when it comes to touch is that we need to drive innovation. Greece mentioned about Jugaad. I'll talk a little bit more on Jugaad later on. But I think it's about finding new ways of doing things. And that's the need of the hour for leaders, of finding new ways of doing things. But at the same time, I think it gives us a unique opportunity to drive efficiency. Because of the circumstances we are in, because of how we have to run our business and deliver our services, we are called upon to drive efficiency in our practices to deliver those services. So I think it's a good opportunity to rethink trust, rethink touch, and think about innovation and efficiency. The second thing I wanted to talk about was trust. I'm sure all of us have businesses that we built trust with over years. But what has changed is our customer base is changing. I think we are going to depend more and more on domestic travelers. The good thing about India is India has had a large dependency and support with domestic travelers, which is good. But apart from that, what initial numbers show in markets that are showing recovery like China is that the profile and the demographics of the traveler is changing. Today, you see more and more young travelers taking to the road than more than the mature travelers. So which means we need to start building trust with a totally new segment of the market, not a totally new segment of the market, but a growing segment of the market. We may not have had as much of that market before. So we need to start earning and building trust with this market. And we need to think about how do we cater to this market? I would like you to think about whether you have changed your positioning, your marketing, your business promotions to suit the markets we are targeting today. Because today's market may not be the same market you are catering to. And that means starting to build that trust all over again with those markets. So it's an important part of our business to build that trust and to earn that trust from that market, which means we need to understand the younger traveler and what is important for them so that we can build trust. But also part of trust is loyalty. And I'm sure all of us have a good base of loyal guests, whether we are in a restaurant, whether we are in a hotel, a branded company, or elsewhere. And we all know loyalty counts. Loyal guests usually stay more, they spend more money with us, and they also say more. And in today's world, saying more is almost as important because that's where our messages are spread by our ambassadors. So how do we build that trust with the emerging markets and the younger generation? How do we earn that trust? We need to be able to listen to our customers and give them a bigger say so that we can adapt to their needs. You know, there's a good example with Hilton and eBay that was quoted on building trust with customers. And what they said was, Hilton and eBay both went above and beyond to support people during the crisis. But the differentiator was, they didn't ask, what do we have that we can give? But they asked what people really need. What do people really need? Not about what we have, but what about what people need. But that's about building trust, and loyalty is part of that trust. Those are two elements. The third element is technology. I think our industry has been taking a route to technology and automation slowly but surely, probably a bit too slowly for the liking of a lot of us. So I think there's a huge opportunity for us now to leverage technology in reshaping our business. And I won't dwell on this because we have experts here. I'm sure Alak has a lot to share and he has a lot of experiences. And I think he'll share about it better than me. And I'll leave that to Alak to share. But I just wanted to give this message to you about touch, about trust, and about technology. And also remember, this applies to all our stakeholders, whether it's guests, whether it's our owners, or whether it's our customers. So I think that's how leaders need to change and adapt to the changes we are facing today, Grish.
Thanks, Shanta. I think that was really hitting the nail on the head, because I think trust is the key word for hospitality. And I think I would go one step further, and I would also say that our own colleagues, our own people, I think they also need to have that faith and the trust in the management and in us to ensure that everything, because end of the day, I think we have to build that culture which has to come into being to actually move forward and ensure that there's trust which is just flowing out of every asset, and that's the only way forward. Alak, taking this from where Shanta then technology, while we are observing all these innovative practices coming out, technology is coming in the forefront. According to you, how important a role will technology play, and in what various areas in hospitality?
Very good morning, Mr. Bindra, and happy morning to all of you. First of all, I really thank Tarandeep and other team members of Happy Hotelier to invite me for this panel. And I couldn't be happier than this morning today, because I have my motherland folks listening and my second home out of Sydney in Australia, Shanta, in the panel. And I'm so proud to have in the panel. And then I'm here in the California, in the US, which is 4 a.m. So I'm very delighted to be with all of you. And Shanta was just mentioning about trust, and technology. I will probably extend further one more, which is emotions, empathy, and technology. So we have moved on how technology can also capture the emotions, provide empathy with the help of technology. So everybody have really understood about how artificial intelligence is now coming in to help providing the touch, which is high touch, and also providing some trust, built-in trust, leveraging the technology, and then providing emotional intelligence is the new endeavor. So we started building in the emotional factor of the individual, which is my passionate topic, is customer or the people who are among the ecosystem. So when we talk about people, we have to think through how people are really, making the entire centerpiece of the ecosystem of the business. So in case of hotel, is a guest, and the guest is interacting with the hoteliers. So how we are enabling the touch with the technology, and I will only talk about the chatbot is the first technology which has come in, and 30% of the millennial, which is now, occupying or traveling or, staying in the hotels, they would like to interact with the chatbot on their smart devices, giving them 24/7 touch on the smart devices without talking to any human, and yet getting the same task accomplished. Now, that touch is obviously not personal, but at the same token, if we add a little bit of activity-driven, process, which can be done with intelligent process automation. And once we bake in the intelligent process automation with the technology, we are also earning the trust factor of the customer. Because the customer, the guest, they wanted to have the activity fulfilled in real time. They don't want to have just the happiest smile on the face, but they want to get things done. And when things get done, they get really happy. They also get completely trustworthy in terms of when they wanted to get things done, it is done. So that is the factor which is enabled. However, once you get the empathy, that is where emotional intelligence comes in. Now, emotional intelligence is one area which everyone is working towards. How much I know about individual, what are their preferences, what are their likes, what they don't like it, what kind of a thing which will go along with this act of behavior. And that is where the behavioral science come in. Artificial intelligence is not mapping the behavioral pattern of individual, what will delight individual, what will make that individual happier than before, and what is the combination of the material, activity, of the processes will delight the individual. That is what the emotional intelligence is all about. So we have researched enough to capture all of those factors, which I just talked about, and provide them onto your smart device. Now, device you're carrying all the time. Now, once we capture all of those nuances on the offer to you instantly, I think we are delighting the guest members. And we are also getting the goal and objective of the hotels met at the end of the day to get the better returns, better productivity of the. At the end of the day, the guests pay the check for us, and the guests pay the bills for us, and we need to fulfill all the criteria we mentioned. So we'll deep dive more on the technology, but at this point in time, I'm just giving you a thumbnail, a sketch on how the technology is coming in, automating certain processes, and I'll talk more as we go along, capturing emotional intelligence, and then offering instant service to the guest as it comes in. COVID pandemic has affected across the globe. We are badly hit in America. We know how it is affecting in the hotel industry. It's bleeding in America here. And not only the hotel, across industry. It's completely shut down since months. Forget about economy. Death toll is rising up every day. And now again, it has been imposed drastically in the US. So you can imagine that leadership play a very important role. Now, leadership across the board need to keep calm, need to be composed, need to take the action so that people should be taken care of first with empathy. Employees should be taken care of with the emotional intelligence. Obviously, when employee is taken care of, then customers and guests will be taken care of. And when we do that, the technology is a byproduct of it. We are always there to offer you the right technology to automate the mundane task. The mundane task, which is a repeatable task, which we can automate with our process automation. And with the automation of tasks, we'll show you with the use cases how we can reduce the cost of operations by 15 to 20%. That 15 to 20% of cost reduction does a hell of a lot with the help of technology. Mr. Bindra. So this is for now, I think we're going to be as we go along.
Thank you. Thanks, Alak. And I think we've got back into it, and you've also spoken about individuals. Now we're talking about individuals. Let's get some thoughts from Rohit. Rohit, tell me something. Being the executive vice president of one of the largest hospitality chains this part of the world, what according to you can be done, A, to restore the business with the present circumstances, and B, to create further opportunities for all our colleagues, whether it's someone in the base, whether it's a steward or it's a manager, what do you think are the opportunities that we can create for them?
Right. Good morning to everybody, and thank you so much for having me here. Truly appreciate the invitation. Thank you, Girish. Pleasure to see Shanta. And I know one side, there are two sides of the globe, and we are bang in the center. So it's nice to be in the center sometimes. Frankly, if you look at what is happening today, it's the biggest black swan event that has occurred in our lives, and I think maybe in the history of the planet. We have not had a situation where everything shuts down across countries. And also another important thing, and looking at India, is shutting down within countries. One never thought that going from Delhi to Ghaziabad will be impossible, or going from Gurgaon to Delhi would be impossible. So this entire circumstance that has arisen today because of the pandemic is something that no one has ever experienced before. And I truly pray and hope that nobody ever experiences it again, because it is, in my opinion, a very, very, very bad situation. Not only is it bad from the health perspective, from the health of the people or lives of people, but it is also very bad for the economy. And as you're aware, our industry, the travel and tourism industry, has been hit the hardest by this particular pandemic. We are going to be 75% below last year at the best case scenario. And millions of jobs are at risk. Multiple entrepreneurs, small MSMEs will have no other option but to shut down. And all this will happen not because of what's happening around, but what is happening within organizations. I think it's very important for us to turn inward and look inside and see as to how we, as leaders, as entrepreneurs, as hoteliers, are viewing this particular pandemic. One way to view this pandemic is to view it from a very drab, dreary, depressing outlook. The other is to go by a thought that with every crisis, there is an opportunity. I think as leadership, as Shanta mentioned, the most important thing for leadership is to remain positive and look for opportunities. And the same has happened with us. As you're aware, IHCL, part of the Tata Group, our core theme is leadership with trust. And both leadership and trust is covered very well in our statement. And it is also a part of our core values. So what Shanta spoke about trust, actually TAJ stands for trust, awareness, and joy. And so trust is the first thing. So totally agree with Shanta when Shanta says, what we need to do today, we need to definitely revive trust. So it's all our organizations, whether we are big or small, we have a very loyal customer base. And those customers, those guests, they come to us because they trust us. And I think we should not do anything today that takes away from that trust. I have a little bit of a point of view difference from Shanta, and that is when he spoke about touch and touchless, touch and contactless. So absolutely, I agree with you, Shanta, from that perspective, that there is no way that guests tomorrow are going to look at touch and more touch. Actually, it's going to be less and less of touch. But one touch should not go away. And that touch is the warmth and the hospitality, especially that Indian hospitality is known for. Now, that is something we have to retain. In all the contactless, in all the technology that we get in, we should not forget, ultimately, we are in the hospitality business. And hospitality cannot be done with machines. It has to be done with people. So for me, leadership has to realize the importance of taking the people along, all stakeholders along, whether they are the guests, whether they are the colleagues, the employees, whether it's the society, whether it is the environment, everybody, all stakeholders have to be taken along. And we have to come out of this on top. We have to discover those strengths. We have to discover those opportunities that hitherto we never had the time to look at. And so we have to look at things positively. Coming to what Girish said, what is it that we can restore? How do we restore business? I want to ask everybody on this call. All of you may have been to business schools. Which business school taught you to run a business without zero top line? No business teaches you that. No business school teaches you that. But this pandemic has taught us how to survive in a situation where we have zero top line. There's no business. And how do you then start looking at your costs? How do you start looking at not your variable costs, which automatically disappear because there's no business, but how do you look at your fixed costs? How do you look at your manpower costs, which are our largest costs in our business? How do you look at your heat, light, power costs, which are also a lot of fixed costs? So in our business, you have to restore the viability of business. Otherwise, businesses are becoming unviable, right? So the viability of business is to take away the cost factor and try and find the top line. So how have we found the top line in our organization? Many times people look at the headlines and get scared and they say, oh, this is what kind of business is this? Getting doctors to stay in your hotel, very dangerous. COVID, they're susceptible to COVID. And so why should we get doctors in your hotel? But hello, wake up, smell the coffee. There's no business. Might as well get the doctors. At least get somebody to stay in your hotel, and then you get the Vande Bharat people who are coming in who are on quarantine. No problem. We are not a hospital, but we can provide quarantine facility. And then let's look at some of our hotels have even got attached to hospitals. And I mean, we have to continuously keep thinking out of the box. So whether it's Vande Bharat, whether it's quarantine, whether it is the paramedics and the doctors, these are the first things that we went for. The second thing is that as things started opening up, Girish, you started looking at, the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Home Affairs, their guidelines. They started saying, 50 people weddings you can do. And everybody said the great fat Indian wedding is going to become the lean Indian wedding. So yes, it's a lean Indian wedding. None of us are looking very lean, but the lean Indian wedding is there to stay. People have to celebrate. Weddings will happen. We have seen some examples of people poor guys trying to do wedding over Zoom. But luckily the government has allowed us to do weddings in person, limited to 50 people. So go after it. So what if it's only 50? I know we are all used to 2,000 people weddings. Go for the 50. The main thing is get the top line, whatever top line you can get, to take care of your costs. I think that's very, very important. You also asked me, how do you, diversify? How do you think of new businesses at this time? So as an industry, we all know that we are a highly capital intensive industry, right? We have a lot of assets, the building. We have invested a lot of money in the plant and the building. Now, in the absence of top line, what is happening in the kitchens? How do we use the kitchens? So if the rooms are going to go like this, what happens to the kitchens? Because the restaurants are shut, banquets are shut, everything is shut. So that's where you have to think out of the box and say that how do we instead of guests coming to us, how do we go to the guests? How do we land up in the guest office? How do we land up in the guest residence? How do we land up in their private celebrations? Instead of expecting them to come to us, we have to go to them. And that's where the whole issue of, catering, outdoor catering, takeaway business. And now what we have launched, which we are launching tomorrow in New Delhi, but we already launched it in Mumbai, is a new, a delivery service, which is called Cumin. So as an organization, we decided that we will have our own delivery platform and our own delivery app, and we will not be piggybacking on any of the other apps and get confused because we have a strong brand. And so we decided to launch our own brand. So Cumin, which we are launching tomorrow in New Delhi, is our home delivery app where all the restaurants come to you. So you can order a meal from the House of Ming. You can order a meal from the Golden Dragon in Mumbai. You can order a meal from the spicy duck in the Taj Palace. It'll come to your house. So earlier, these kind of things as five-star hotels we never did. But now, with the situation and the environment, we have no option but to go out. So if the guests are not coming in, we have to go out. So my simple suggestion, logic to everybody on the call is, we have to be continuously thinking of innovative ways in which we can search for revenue opportunities and also continuously evaluate our cost line, each and every line of cost, to see if there is any saving possible. Because in order to survive, we have to be viable. And if we are not viable, we will not survive. And that's going to be the huge and the biggest challenge for industry, is to be able to survive this pandemic. I hope I've been able to answer some of your questions.
Super, Rohit. I think that was very good, and I can't agree with you more on terms like, even if it's 50 packs or it is quarantine, I think we must go and grab the bull by its horn, because that's the start. I mean, you just need to do it. You can't have, it's something that's coming in, and I think people need to understand that and learn that moving forward. In terms of human touch, I can't agree with you more. I'm 100% with you, but I think that is a topic that we will discuss. I will bring that question back to you in the second round. Talking about, having been hit the worst, and unfortunately, we've had no support from the government. The hospitality industry has really suffered. It's been very bad for stakeholders and for senior leadership. Shanta, coming in from there, I have a question for you. Leadership styles as well have to now, we've got to look at a new level totally of creativity and how we're going to move forward with all these issues that we've been facing. What are your thoughts on that?
Grisha, I'd love to share a few ideas of how leaders need to think in the current environment and how they need to think for the future. But before that, I must say that it was interesting to listen to Alak and Rohit both. Alak with emotions and empathy, I think that fits in very well to the trust factor that we need to build. But Rohit, I agree with you on the warmth and the hospitality that we are known for, especially in South Asia and Southeast Asia. We cannot lose that touch. But the challenge in the new environment is to provide that feeling to our guests with the restrictions we have today. And I think that's a challenge for our leaders. And I'm sure there's enough jugaad in India to come up with a solution for that. So,
working on it.
Can't agree with you more.
So, Grish, I'd like to share 3 thoughts with the leaders of how they can adapt and how they can be creative in the environment. There's a lot of things we can do, and these are 3 things that I think I feel can make a difference. And the 3 things I would talk about is Sahayog, Jugaad, and Vishwas. I have to talk about Jugaad, no, Krish? Otherwise I'll be disappointed. So first is about collaboration. We all know the recovery of this pandemic is going to be staged. We'll probably first see domestic travel. Then we'll probably see if there are travel bubbles established with governments and countries, people traveling from those travel bubbles, then regional, then probably international. But I think it's going to be a while before international travel starts. To give you an example, Australia, we are not allowed to travel out at least till the end of the year. Now it seems that that ban will carry on till middle of next year. Qantas 2 days ago announced that they've canceled all their international flights till middle of next year. So I think the reliance is going to be more and more on the domestic market. Also, if you think about India, there's a huge outbound market. I think the time I was there, it was about 20-25 million people traveling outside, which will remain within India. And that's to add to the billion domestic trips that are in India. So I think India is uniquely positioned to capitalize on the domestic demand. But my challenge to the hoteliers is not to work on your own, to collaborate with the industry in your destination, in your city, in your state, because your challenge is to attract those guests to your destination. Once you have them in your destination, then it can fill your restaurants, your businesses, your hotels. But I think first we need to promote that restaurant. So I would like to challenge you to work on collaboration as leaders across the industry so that we can promote the destination foremost so that all of us can benefit. And when you're working on that collaboration, I would like to, I mean, we are traditionally used to treating people as competitors, right? And we know what that means. But I'd like to ask you to think about being rivals. And there is a difference. It's not the same. When you're a rival, you usually bring out the best in the other person. You both work for the same objective, same goal, same outcome, but you bring out the best in others. I mean, if you look at tennis, think about Nadal and Federer. That match takes tennis to a totally new level. At closer home, India-Pakistan cricket. That cricket match between India and Pakistan supersedes any of the rivalries in cricket. Because of that rivalry, it brings out the best in people. People are more passionate, they're more committed, they're more engaged. So I think as an industry, we need to be rivals rather than competitors, and we need to collaborate and promote our destinations first, so that then we can benefit from the business altogether. But at the same time, all these three things, I want you to think about your employees as well, right? Let's face it, we are not going to have the same workforce we had before we went into the crisis when we come out of the crisis. So how do we help them? How can we collaborate across industry to help our employees? Some of you may be independent hotels, some of you will be large chains or large companies like Taj or other international companies, and some of you may be restaurants. So without each of you doing your own thing, can we collaborate across and help our employees, whether it's upskilling, whether it's reskilling, whether it's training, or leveraging our network and our supply chain to support them? So as much as we need to collaborate across industry, I would also encourage you to collaborate across industry for our employees. Secondly, I want to talk about Jugaad, which is my favorite subject. Rohit spoke about the need for innovation and to think differently when we drive business. When you look at a P&L, there's three things you can do, right? You can do increase revenue, reduce costs, and in between is innovation, whether it's in revenue or whether it's in cost. And I think a crisis is the ideal time to drive innovation because there's less barriers. The team is not fearful because there's nothing to be fearful of. There's no resistance from management. There's nothing to resist. There's nothing else happening. There's no interruption of business as usual because of innovation, because our business is interrupted. And I think a crisis forces us to think about fresh perspectives. We heard actually from Rohit as well about how they're doing business differently, how they're taking restaurants into the home. And I think it's an ideal fertile ground for innovation because we are getting used to doing more with less, and we are getting used to doing new things. It's a unique opportunity to try unconventional methods. And I think people's willingness to accept change is at an all-time high. I don't think we'll get that playing field ever again, because sometimes accepting change means pure survival. We don't have much of a choice. So I think secondly, we need to think about innovation and how we can innovate our business, not for today, not for tomorrow, but for the long term. If you read Simon Sinek's latest book, he talks about infinite, making our businesses infinite, not finite, not about targets and goals, which are important for the short term, but about thinking more than that into the longer term. So I think our challenge is to innovate our business for the long term. At the same time, let's think about our employees. How do we help them innovate themselves? Let's face it, they will have to innovate themselves and look at how they come out of this crisis and what they can do. And how do we again leverage our industry or supply chain to support them as they come out of this new normal? Because I think we need to, our duty to them is to make them resilient to face the future. And the third part is about belief and in our people. We need to earn that trust in people and help them build that belief in us. We can't be resigned to the situation. If we are resigned to the situation, that means we are defeated. We need to accept the situation. Accepting the situation means that it opens up opportunities and opportunities for change. You know, one of my most favorite books of all time is Jim Collins's Good to Great. And in it, he talks about the Stockdale paradox. You know, he talks about Admiral Stockdale, who was a prisoner of war in Vietnam, and he suffered brutally in a Vietnam prison for 7 years. And he had no idea whether he would ever go home again. But he attributes his survival for his ability to blend his hard pragmatism with unwavering hope for the future. And that is what is called the Stockdale paradox. He says he never ever doubted that he would get out, that he will prevail in the end. And he always believed that he would turn that experience into a defining moment of his life. And he truly did. And he says he would never trade it. So what about us? What are we doing with the situation we are in? And he was asked, who are the prisoners who didn't make out of those prisons in Vietnam? And he said it was all the optimists. They said we'll get out by Christmas. Christmas came and Christmas went. They didn't get out. They said they'll get out by Easter. Easter came and Easter went, and they didn't get out. Then it was Thanksgiving. Then it was Christmas again. And eventually, they died of heartbreak. So what it teaches us is that we have to have faith that will prevail in the end, regardless of whatever difficulties we face. At the same time, we also have to confront the facts that we are facing today, because otherwise we can't prevail. So my third challenge to you is about accepting the facts that we are facing today, but also believing that we can prevail in the future and getting ready for that and filling that gap between the facts of today and prevailing in the future. And I think, again, I'd like to relate it to our employees and how do we help them have that belief in accepting reality and facing the facts of the future. I think we need to talk to them openly and honestly and tell them about what's happening. It's no harm being authentic and vulnerable, because we are human too, and we need to be open and ready to answer their questions. But more importantly, we need to help them see their potential and help them realize that potential going forward, because that's the least we can do for them, because that's can be the only way we can impact their future going forward. So, Grish, coming back to your question, 3 things that leaders can think about and change in the current circumstances. It's innovation, collaboration, and belief.
Super, Shanta. Thank you so much. And I think Shanta has spoken about these 3, and he's spoken about destination, then collaborate, industry. Alok, moving to a little slightly different angle, what I want to actually know from you is, how do you see technologies like process automation and artificial intelligence, how will they help in this current situation? Can you give us some kind of thing, and what kind of training is needed for these technologies? What are your inputs on this?
Excellent segue, Mr. Bindra, and I was listening again carefully to Mr. Khosla and Santa again on this trust and collaboration. So let's deep dive on how technology can to help the hoteliers right from reserve to delight. So let's say the first touch point comes in, how do I come into India? If I have to come to India, I have to book the flight. And then I have to book my accommodation. So my experience goes, first of all, I go on the internet and start looking for what are the best hotels in Hyderabad or in Delhi. Immediately, if your hotel pops up, I will like to know more about it. And then I'll go through what are the OTAs who are giving me the better deal. Now, obviously, OTAs are taking away your margin of the business. So we have to see how you're attracting me through your guest loyal system. Have I stayed in the past? Have you reached out to me continuously? Have you kept the relationship going, whether with touch or without touch? Now, if you have been in touch with us in the US, obviously we become more in terms of personalized services. So I'll not go to OTA, rather I will come directly to you and make my booking. If I'm coming to your, let's say, web channel to make the reservation, how personalized services you're giving me on the phone or on my web, and whether or not you are interacting in real time, so that if I'm stuck, you are able to help me and make my reservation done in few clicks. So when I make the reservation, now you have to give me some indications. What are the facilities you have when I'm arriving 7 days or 2 weeks after? So obviously, we are not able to see, visualize things before there, but the technology gives you the virtual reality. Virtual reality will enable us to see what are facilities available, what are services available, what are best food available, what are things available in that particular premises or around your hotel. Now that gives the personalized virtual reality-based system, which can enable me to get the trust going that when I land up there, I see that whatever I saw in the US, it is exactly the same. Now, once I come in there, do I need to see, hug or embrace when I come in the reception? Now, during this situation, maybe not, because we have to maintain the social distance, we have to maintain, but am I getting that kind of without any touch, physical touch, the same emotional empathy? And that can be easily extended. When we come into your reception, people are giving me that empathy, intelligence with that kind of personalized service. And I'll quote here, Mr. Khosla, you'll be delighted when I stayed in Krishna. The first experience I had, the moment I went in the web, they recognized based on my loyalty system and based on all my previous track, they started personalizing with my personal name. And when I got to hotel, first of thing I saw is the bouquet with the cake. I don't know how they picked up that my birthday is coming next. Just the next day is my birthday. And that is what I talked about, emotional intelligence or empathy, when the guests for goodies or surprises that gives you delight. So this is one of the areas which we are working on, how to enable the guest with those kind of emotional intelligence or artificial intelligence. It's no brainer. If the guest record is available, you have to act in real time. You have to provide that services online, whereby we should be able to cater that need based on that. Another example, if I give you, if I like to have this kind of a food, and if I'm going to the restaurant or a dining outlet, if I'm offered the same kind of food as a recommended, don't you think I'll be delighted? That is what we are working on, to prompt the chef, prompt the server to offer me that food which I'm so happy with. Now, if I like to have my red wine Cabernet and you're offering me something else, I would definitely not be that. But if somebody offers me the Cabernet wine, which I drink most of the evening, that is what the personalized service which you're looking for. And that is where I'm talking about the system is coming in. Reserve to delight. Then we talk about cost reduction. And Mr. Khosla, you're talking about your top line, and then you're talking about the profit margin, the GOP. How can you do really more with less? So certain process automation is the need of the hour. Now, if I talk about procure to pay, you're procuring a lot of materials for FMBs, for all of the things. How can you automate the processes of procure to pay? So that most of the suppliers, the vendors, they should not be depending on the people. They should be getting automated purchase orders based on the requirement or demand coming in from your guests. Now, once we do that, I can give you the use case where 30% cost reduction with the automation comes in. That technology comes in with intelligent process automation. Saying that humans are not there, but the process are getting automated. I'm removing the human element where automation is taking place. Now, when we procure to pay, you're happy. You are basically getting what you need on the day. Your, let's say, the kitchen suppliers are delivering exactly the item and the quantity what is needed for that particular morning. And that is where the optimization comes in. Now, I'm talking about the guest personalization in stay. When I'm staying in the room, do I need to pick up the phone which is lying on the side desk? Now, modern technology is telling us we don't need your phone on the desk. We have our smart device already in our hand. Why do I need your phone to touch? Why do I need to touch the electric panel when I have Alexa to tell, hey, I turn off the light or turn off, or turn the AC on or set the temperature of the room to, let's say, 60-degree temperature, or I'm talking Fahrenheit. So now in that particular scenario, can I not touch where I'm entering in the room with a plastic card? I can remove that easily in the US, which people are now with just a scan. I can scan my phone on your door or the door panel, and the door opens with that electronic key panel. So now that is the technology which I'm talking about. If you're not able to give even that, can you give me the electronic punch key number on the door? Now it is very easy. Here a large door system is available, which is very economical, and that technology hardware can be replaced on all hotel room doors. Now, if we replace that doors with electronic punch number, most of the Airbnb experience you must have seen that people are now punching the number, which is now given to me on my reservation folio. That Mr. Verma, your room 302, and please come in and stay with us. Now 302 room number, what is the access number? Access number is 5134. Now that is have already been sent on my smart device that your room number is this, punch number or touch key number is this. I don't have to wait in the reception. Now what all you need when I arrive in the hotel, you need my passport, you need my Aadhaar card, you need my PAN card, you need all the documents. You have already taken my payment and you have already validated the credit card anyway. Why do you want me to wait in the reception? Now that is the process automation I'm talking about. So when I arrive in the guest, I love to have my concierge to take my suitcase and to take it to my room, but I should not be holding the queue. I should go straight away to level 3, where 302 is my room. I should have my room number already on my phone. I scan or I punch the key with a minimal finger touch. Door opens, now door light is on, and everything is guided on my smart device. So all the operation, everything is on Ask Buddy. Ask Buddy is the technology Centric is offering, which is called Guest Companion. Guest Companion is always with the guest on their smart device. So Ask Buddy is your enabler. I'm that you replace the human, but supplement the human. Human is backing them up. Now instead of 5 people, I can do with 1. That is the efficiency I'm talking about. So now with the guest coming in, I'm saying, Ask Buddy, hey Ask Buddy, can you tell me what's the menu of the day? Now Ask Buddy is telling me menu of the day is chicken tikka masala is the best chef has made today. I have chicken tikka masala with my naan. Okay, that comes with Cabernet red wine as my dinner. I may be in the meeting, I may be somewhere else, but is it very, very far-fetched dream? It is happening in the US, it can happen in the India as well. Is it very expensive? Answer is no, it's very, very easily done and we can implement it very quickly. So Ask Buddy is your companion on your hand along anywhere you are, right from the airport till your room. Ask Buddy is with you. Electronic menu. Now, electronic menu, if I publish on the smartphone, is it not a good idea that to have electronic menu appearing on my smart device? And now I can order, I can get the services delivered wherever I am. I may be on the poolside, I may be on the lobby, I may be on somewhere else. And I wanted to enjoy the luxury which you offer to me. That is the personalization. Then I'm also talking about how can I really help my employees who are really offering this service. Are they happy? Are they really empowered? Now, how can we empower them as well? Now, all this manifestation of guests, unless they are knowing who is the guest coming into a hotel, how they can give personalized service. So F&B people should know that there are 10 guests who are coming from the US. These are their background. These are the things which they have enjoyed in their previous stay. They have liked, they have come this time with the family. Now, F&B people know what to offer to them. General manager will not know what all the things have to be instructed. F&B need to be empowered and offer that personalized catering from the kitchen. That level of details I'm talking about emotional intelligence. Is it difficult? Maybe, maybe not if we train the people. So Mr. Binder was asking, how do we train these people around this? So all this, what I'm talking about is boiling down to people who are going to implement and execute it. Now, if we start giving the basics training, that paradigm shift has to take place now. There is some compelling event has taken place. We have to empower and enable our people who are serving guests, who are serving our customer. So their mindset has to change. Gone are the days when we are just mere looking for gift of gab or just a smile on the face. It is not going to cut it. You have to deliver. Now, if you are giving me the delivery with the quality service, on time, all the time, on time, all the time, that is what you are winning me 100%. And that is the demand of a guest. Guest is pampered, customer is pampered. If you're not taking care of the guest, somebody else will. And if somebody else will, you are losing the guest forever. Guest is not going to come back. As I gave you example, I have quoted several times in my meetings, conferences. I'm always coming to thought because one person, one system, which that did for me, I'm quoting everywhere. That is what it is for your, what we call Net Promoter Score, right? So Net Promoter Score is all about how do I recommend my friends and my guests. If I become your spokesperson, that is what you want the guest to speak for you. And you have to implement this. So Centric, I have been researching this forever. Last 10 years is my research on what is the guest life cycle or customer life cycle, where it starts and how it culminates into delight. We have to look for technology all through. So the customer touch point across industry. Since I'm talking to hoteliers, I'm defining the touch point from online travel agency, cut down OTAs. Can you get them back to your web channel? Get them back to your personalized services and reduce the margin which you're giving away to them. Automate your process when the guest is already booked the service with you, start communication with them. Automated communication. I don't expect the general manager, the marketing manager to do that savvy job as the technology can perform. So let's say I create, based on the guidance, 10 of communication system. Now that communication goes to the guest periodically. The moment I book the room, I should be able to get the letter coming in from the general manager of the hotel, thanking that I booked the room, I'm coming in 6 days after. You are giving me all the details that you are aware of this facility, all of that. Who is writing that email? Are you going to write personally, or systems should take care of it? Systems should take care of it. Automated email communication system. Who should take care of concierge services? Ask Buddy should take care of it. Ask Buddy is a chatbot. Chatbot is available with me on my smart device that you cannot replace with human, which I'm living and sleeping with my devices, right? So you have to leverage that whenever I need it. When I need somebody to be spoken, you should also give me the option to call on my. I'm using a smart device. Don't expect me to change the pattern. I'm now using everything on my phone. You don't expect me to disturb me. I'm busy. And people should not be disturbed doing something. And that is where I'm talking about. I'm not compromising on human interaction, human touch. That is always good. But when I need that, that is when I need it, not all the time. If that makes sense, the training for the people, process automation, as I mentioned, from reserve to delight, procure to pay, hire to retire. Hire to retire. Now you have to retire people who are not delivering. You have to go with the gig economy. You just mentioned about human cost is the highest cost. Here, all the hoteliers come to the gig economy. What that means, I have to pay for outcome. All my linens.
Mr. Verma, I'm sorry to interrupt. We are running on less time.
Thank you so much. So I was just concluding.
I know you're very passionate on your subject, but then we have to respect the time of all the people who are there on the panel and the participants, right? So I think, Mr. Bindra, you can take it further.
Okay, Alag, I think you've really done a real elaboration on technology. I mean, I was just going to say that, I walk into my daughter's room and she says, Alexa, put the lights on. I walk into my son's room. He says, okay, Google, what's the time in New York? I mean, this is what it's coming to today. Now, moving ahead from here and talking about emotional intelligence that you spoke about, Rohit, I just have a very quick one for you. I'll give you about 2 or 3 minutes. Hospitality for us has always been, always had some element of human touch, like we spoke about some time back, whether it was GREs or if you walk into a restaurant, you got a cold towel. A guest walked into a hotel, he had his welcome drink. So these are touches that people are still very keen to. But with the new normal, social distancing is a must. What are your views on this? What kind of thing do you think we should talk to and tell some of our leaders who are listening in?
Very interesting point, Girish. I had a lot of comments on what Shanta and Alak said, but I'll rest them for another discussion. I'll answer your question specifically. I think it's a very easy thing to do. You have to realize what is it that a person accepts that technology can take over, and what is it that requires a human interface. And for that, you have to really go down to your processes, whether all types of processes that you have, your customer interface or guest interface processes, and look at each and every step and see where is it that you can remove the human element, where you can replace the technology element, and also where in the entire process, you don't remove the human out of it, but in some parts of the process, the human comes in. So there is no absence of the human, but it is actually contactless. So to give you an example of what we are talking about in the new normal, there are guidelines, and we have redone our entire policies and processes, both for the heart of the house and for front of the house, whether it is in accommodations or in food and beverage, or whether it is in banqueting, etc. So the important part is technology is already been incorporated, because like Shanta said and like Alak said, contactless is not the expectation, because people are fearful in the COVID crisis to interact with people. The more people get scared. So you have to see where you can make it contactless. So we have made it contactless. We have something called a manual called Tajness Commitment Re-Strengthen, wherein we have looked at Tajness is what we stand for. We believe that is the part of hospitality that you can actually feel in a IHCL hotel with your eyes closed. If you close your eyes and you think where you are, it's an IHCL hotel. And there are many things that contribute to it, right? Whether it's the music, whether it is the aroma, whether it is the interior, or whether it's the sounds, whether it's the uniform you saw of somebody before you close your eyes, etc. It indicates to you that you are in an IHCL or Taj hotel. And that's what we call Tajness. So the person is a very integral part of this. You cannot take the person out. But how often and how much the person is interacting or contacting the guest can be reduced and can actually be eliminated. When you drive into a port, the doorman doesn't have to open the door of your car anymore. You can open it yourself. You do that all the time. But when you get out of the car, there can be a doorman that is socially distant from you, but he's welcoming you by his name with a namaste. Is in my sense personalized. In my sense is the human touch. I sense the smile, though there's a mask, you can basically see it from his eyes that the person is actually welcoming you. We have seen some advertisements recently in the media of some particular company where they have very clearly demonstrated that a smile can be seen behind a mask, because the smile actually lights up your eyes. So when you have an eye-to-eye contact, you can instantly make out that the person is connected with me. He's welcoming me. So wow. Starting from the doorman, and then like Alak said, if you get down from the car, you don't want, and even the driver and the chauffeur, etc., there are full standards for that. We get down from the car, somebody has to take our bags to the room. I mean, we do not want to be in a situation like we are in the West, where you have to carry your own bags to the room. In our hospitality, we believe that when you enter our home, we as hosts have to take care of all your requirements. So there will be a touch with the employee, but how much of that touch is there? How close is that interaction? Maybe there's no Aarti Tikka garlanding, because Aarti Tikka is like touch. You are 100% touching. Garlanding, there's close contact. Maybe you don't do that anymore. Maybe that Aarti is from a distance and there is a Namaste welcome. It indicates the same thing as an Indian hospitality. The only thing you have removed is the Tikka.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is that it's not necessary for us to get overtly concerned that when we put contactless, when we put technology, the human being will disappear. The human being will not disappear. It's up to us to see where and how often and how much is going to be the contact with that human. That's and it comes down to just processes. It comes down to your manuals. It comes down to having a proper system to make it happen. Technology plays a very, very key role. There is no doubt about it. And we are practicing today as we speak, contactless check-in, contactless entry into room, your QR code based menus, ordering, etc., etc. All that is happening as we speak, right? So we are practicing the new normal. As you are aware, our hotels, I mentioned to you, whether it was the doctors or whether it was the Vande Bharat, we know what protocols are required for COVID. We know how to take care of those particular protocols, but without compromising on the guest safety, without compromising on our employee safety, how can we give hospitality? How can we bring that element of Tajness? How can we make them experience Tajness? That's the challenge, and that's what keeps us awake at night.
Super. I think very, very well put, Rohit. Thank you so much. I think all three, Shanta, Rohit, Alak, I mean, it's incredible interaction. I think we've taken a lot of output from you all, and I'm sure the audience has also enjoyed the talk. I think we're running out of time. Tarandeep, should I just hand over to you? How do you want to?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So it's been very, very insightful in terms of all these sharings which the panel has done today, with a lot of takeaways like smile can be seen behind your eyes, no absence of human but still contactless, trust, awareness, joy as TAT stands for, rivals and not competition, touchless, contactless, and so on and so forth. So thank you to all of you. You really shared a lot of insights with all of us. Now, without spending more time, as Mr. Khosla mentioned, how do we go to their residences? Whether it is F&B or some properties taking on new innovations, new out-of-the-box thinking by using their laundry systems to reach out to more people and adding on to their revenue. So whether it is F&B, whether it is laundry, and so on and so forth, how do we go to their residences? I think that answer can be given by AIW Media, whom we have brought in to share some insights about the residential societies and condominiums they work on. Over to you, Deepak.
Thank you so much, Taran, for the wonderful introduction. And I am grateful to you, Taran, and the entire family of HHC here. And it was such wonderful listening to Mr. Shanta, Rohit, Alak, Mr. Giri. And I must congratulate this entire fraternity, which is creating so much of positivity and inspiring so many people. I see it as a movement. I see HSC as a movement. And I wish all the community best of luck. And I am really looking forward to be a part of this community, that how I can be of some help. So today, the reason why I am here to share my bit with your community. So without taking much of your time, I've been seeing the entire presentation, and I congratulate initiatives like Tajness. You spoke, Mr. Rohit, you spoke about Cumin, which is such a good, in this kind of a thing, when I see the world is contracting and I see there are businesses which are expanding, it inspires a lot. So it's a clear message to everyone, all the businesses, whether they are large hotels like Taj or a small restaurant also. Think about expansion. When the world is contracting, think about expansion. Think about ideas. Think about the innovation which you can create. And this is what I will be running you next 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes I'll take, without much of time, a presentation which probably will be creating some insight inside you, that what is that and how we can move forward. So let me just quickly share and give you a brief about what I do and what is what we have today for all of you. So So friends, I am Deepak Srivastav, and my company is AIW Media. I'm the founder of AIW Media, and we are a network of 6,000 plus residential gated communities, reaching out in 13 urban markets and reaching out to 3.3 million residents who are largely millennials. And my why is to help people and businesses grow. And that is the reason I have come here today. Because when I see an industry, which is such a beautiful industry, I've spent some of my most memorable moments in some of the world's one of the best beautiful properties. Even I've been staying in Taj, and when I see, I've gone to some of the restaurants, even in a small town, you remember those memories. And it is, I feel there's a lot which we can create together. And what I would say, when the world is thinking of that we cut our cost, why don't we create an intention of getting overbooked? How about let's forget everything. Let's close our eyes and think, how can I get overbooked? When people are thinking about crisis, let's think about solution. Let's think about innovation. So the first question is that, who's got my money? And it's a fair enough, very, very important thing, because this is something which is going to drive the new economy. Is going to be built on sales. Nothing in this world can stop you from selling a product where you have an innovation. Now, as someone said that, if you will not, if you're selling cars, you will not expect people to come to your showroom. How about taking your showroom to their houses? So we need to create that kind of a mindset. I can understand. So let's try to create these possibilities where we have in our network. So these are the cities, just giving you a small insight about where we are. These are the cities where we are. We are in entire major 13 urban markets, including Delhi, NCR, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad. And we have onboarded the residential societies. And today, when I'm talking about these residential societies, the reason is that 90%, more than 90% of the dwell time of the average Indian millennial customer is inside his gated community, whether he's staying in an apartment, a society, or a condo. And how about reaching out to them? As Mr. Khosla said, now what we do is we have a complete technology platform where we have onboarded all these communities, where we capture the total number of residents, the lat long, the total number of households, and whether there's a club, there's a swimming pool, there's a gymnasium. And this is which helps you target the communities. Suppose there is a property you have a property in Gurgaon, and you would want people to, you would want to deliver food. Now, how do you know that which is the audience which I need to track? So this is where we help you reach out to the targeted, filtered audience which matter for your brand, for your service. Now, as I said, people spend more than 90% of their dwell time. And I spoke about targeting. Now we are running out of time, so I'm just moving a bit, faster as to what. So the idea is that it's more about hyper-local. As our Honorable Prime Minister said, it's time to get vocal about local. All the larger multinational companies which exist today were once confined to a small locality. And COVID has taught us to going back to normal and going back to our basics. And this is a opportunity for you to start innovating, because when you see that travel is less happening, you don't see more of people traveling. How about capturing the local communities? Now, this is where we have created a possibility. No, I so much resonate to this community. Why? Because I come from an advertising company, and my revenue was totally shrunken, because the reason is that the moment the COVID came, and a lot of the campaigns, brands stopped advertising. And that is where I needed to innovate. So I innovated, something which was very basic, and it picked up. So we do a lot of things, but there is one thing which you need to create. It's very important to get revenues. I believe it's a very important element of any business. So what we did, we created these basic sanitization kiosks, which are installed inside the lift lobbies of all the premium condos. Just imagine, like you are in a property, like if it is a 5-star property like in Gurgaon, and the people who are staying in societies like La Lagune, Vipul Belmonte, or a DLF, where you pay an average rental of around 1.5 lakhs, who were your customers, who are still your customers, who resonate with you, and they are craving because of the mindset. How about telling them? How about communicating and creating a possibility at their doorsteps? Now, these are seeded strategically inside the lift lobbies, condominiums, the swimming pools of all these gated communities, all across the major urban market. These are the basic sanitization kiosks which we have created. I'm just showcasing you this possibility with you. And this is how you can just, this is a small idea. There is a lot to it. This is just a small idea, because this is a complete ecosystem when we are talking about the residential societies where you have your customer. That is the place where you have your customer. And when we are talking about reaching out to them, about communicating them, I see this as one of the beautiful platform. Imagine, let's see. This is an innovation, something we are planning with a brand called Dyson, which is where they have the floor clean product, and the people can book their video home demo, just by scanning on the QR code at their lift lobbies. Now, this is one of the opportunities which we have created. And the focus areas, what I would say for hospitality industry, is primarily food delivery. So the idea is that I could think of these three verticals where you can think of immediately, you should be driving your revenues. One can be from the food delivery, like Mr. Khosla mentioned about the cumin. And I think so you also have tie-ups with brands like Swiggy's of the world, where the restaurants drive their revenue. Now, this is one of the beautiful thing, getting the food delivery at the doorsteps and communicating them about your why and what are the communication which you can make at the lift lobby. Second is the laundry service. A lot of maids are not coming. This is one of the pain point. Laundry service is one of the most thing, because if you have a facility, and how can you monetize it? Third thing is about staycation. And if you can think about, people who are your customers, and creating a mechanism where they spend a good time in your property locally, they need not to travel. There is less, like it was told, that we think about avoiding touch. So if they are told, that thing has to be built up. When they're communicated about this thing, somewhere it resonates with the customer. So these are the possibilities which we can create. We can create your communication in the WhatsApp group of, like in Delhi NCR, we have 1800 plus communities onboarded in the WhatsApp group. Your message can go there. How you can create, what difference you as a brand can create, that possibility can be shared. Then you can put posters, notice boards, value letters to your customers. So there are a lot of opportunities which we can create together. I am very grateful to Uplifto and Tarandeep, who's the founder of Uplifto, and we are proud to have them as a strategic partner in this entire initiative. And so I would again congratulate all of you for such a lovely possibility all of you have created, and we definitely would love to partner with you in case we can be of any help to you. Do let us know. Do get in touch with us. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Deepak. It was really informative. We would now open the forum for question and answers. In case any of the have it, or else Ashish can just look at it and take it over before I conclude. If anyone has any question and answers from AIW Media or the panel, you're free to ask any questions.
So you can put it in the chat box, or simply click the raise hand button. I'll be unmuting you and you can speak.
I think you can also open another option. They can send a mail to you, Tarandeep, and then you can forward that, and within 48 hours,
Sure. We can do that, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. We can do that too. Right, sir. We can do that. So we'll move forward. In fact, in the chat, I'm getting private messages saying that tell us more about HHC. So just less than a minute, I'll just tell you what HHC is all about. So HHC was conceptualized in January, and actually the groundwork was done last year. And the moment the pandemic happened, we took this as a beautiful opportunity to just be visible. Otherwise, the ground job was being done. I'm a very passionate hotelier and been with some properties, and so is Ashish and Dheeraj. So we three got together and we started HHC. So the intention is not to just update you on the industry happenings and the pain points or the solutions which we want to bring on the table on a consistent manner, year long and years to follow. But we would also like to create a happy hotelier, as the word goes, because we are under stress. We kind of spend more time in the place of work. So as a human being, as a person, we need to develop individually as well. So we will be working a lot on our individual self-development. That's the second part. And the third part is that our vision is to create the largest club in terms of members worldwide. So we are open for memberships as well, which you will be looking at in the next slides. So just to update you for our next episode, which we are going to be happening on 24th July on the topic, let's get ready for new age solutions to reboot F&B industry specifically. So that's going to be at the same time on 24th July. And anybody who's interested to become a member is free to call us or send us an email at this particular email ID, info@happyhotelierclub.com. We thank each one of you, and a special thanks goes to Mr. Bindra for moderating the entire program so beautifully, and our esteemed panel, Mr. Khosla, Mr. Shanta, and Mr. Alak Verma, for investing so much of time to us and being with HHC. It's really a motivation and encouragement. And again, I would like to thank all our participants because they've been with us. And I'm sorry we took about 11 minutes more. Please pardon us for that. But I'm sure that would that really brought some kind of value on the table for you all. And before I sum up, Mr. Bindra has been a great support for us since he's become the advisor and he's been with us. So I think we look for continued support from you, sir. Thank you so much, and look forward on 24th July. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Next week. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.